Hey guys, I'm Shirshadai, and I'm here with a pylon and building placement guide. Most of the time when you're placing pylons, it's for overcharge defense and for allowing you to warp in quickly. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, although there are a few building placements that I'm going to look at versus versus Zerg rather, especially, since you'll be walling in a lot of times, as well as additional buildings later in the game for versus Terran, which a lot of times comes down to just available space. But either way, this is a PvP I played on Abyssal Reef the other night. I don't have very many PvPs to select from which to choose, but this worked out pretty well. So basically your first two pylons are going to go next to your gas geysers because you're looking to have fast warp-ins as well as being able to overcharge. So when you have the pylons in these locations, regardless of whether or not you're next to a gate, you're close enough to your nexus to warp in fast. The way you can tell is if you select your warp gates and select a unit to warp in, it's going to show you different colored power fields based on your pylons. The ones by a gate close enough to gateways or nexi will be sort of a white color or a very light blue, and the ones that are farther away, say over here, will be a dark blue. The dark blue ones are the way you're going to have slow warp-ins, so it'll take 16 seconds. The fast warp-ins come in at 4 seconds, so ideally, never warp in on a slow pylon. So anyway, second pylon goes here. The third pylon's going to go right behind my mineral line, right here. And what this does is it creates what people call the Illuminati Triangle, Pylon Love Triangle. There's a few names for it, but basically what it means is you'll be able to overcharge to cover your mineral lines regardless of what is trying to attack you, whatever's trying to pressure you. This guy over here, he has one pylon here, one pylon here. So he's vulnerable to adepts hanging out right here, can put on hold position and deny mining from this patch, pick off any probes that get too close. An oracle can stand there, or that can stand here on hold position and be able to kill workers because an overcharge can't actually reach far enough to deal with everything. So that is why you want this triangle. You want to be able to at least give you enough time to push back the harass, or at least distract whatever is harassing you and help kill it while you warp in defensively. Overcharge really is just for buying time. It's not really good enough by itself unless an entire Terran army unloads into 4 pylons and you overcharge all four of them. Yeah, you probably could defend the entire drop with that. Just click your pylons, focus fire the medevacs, and they die before they ever finish unloading. It's pretty strong. It's very good way to get salt out of your opponents. Anyway, after you get these 3, you'll eventually expand, and then you'll build a pylon in front of your natural. If you have to expand later, I still build my next pylon over here in front of my nexus, so that it's still in range to give me fast warp-ins, so I can warp in without having to worry about where a pylon is if it's close enough, and I can warp in as necessary to defend. Now, as he comes in here with this oracle, he actually gets a couple workers because I'm too busy paying attention at the front, but this pylon overcharge is enough to push him back. If I overcharge here, and he decides he wants to circle around, you see the range of this is all the way out to here. But if he comes around behind my mineral line and wants to keep attacking probes, I simply overcharge here. And if he wants to go farther over, I have enough energy for only one. And if he does manage to get over here before he dies, I'll actually have to pull my probes, I'll box my probes, and I'll right-click the gas geyser, and all the probes will move into that gas geyser, and the only way that Oracle can chase into them is into a pylon. So that's the alternative when you can't overcharge all 3 of them. You select your workers and send them somewhere that is overcharged. So I would, like in this case, this gas geyser. If you overcharge this back when you'll box them all, and you'll just right click this mineral patch. And the only way the oracle will be able to do damage is if he will fly into the overcharge to kill your workers. So it gives you time to make additional workers. Warp in additional units to defend, or possibly wait for enough energy on your mothership core to overcharge if your army's out of position and you don't have enough supply. So as you expand, as you take third bases, you'll be building pylons behind your minerals. And eventually I'll do that. See right here. Because I've identified that he has oracles, that he's gone Stargate. I send a hallucination scout, and I see Phoenix, and I see he's making 2 at a time and he's chronoing them. So my instant response is, this is not going to be an easy game. But ultimately you get cannons in your mineral lines, to help stave off that attack. You'll get additional pylons to prevent warp-ins, or prevent, rather, blink-ins, is what I did here. The 5th and 6th pylon I made were right here. This is just a habit at this point of mine, because in PvP, a lot of times players will blink into your main from here, and they'll force field off your natural. So having these 2 pylons may be your only defense against that, and at least it's good enough to make him second guess his decision. Should I really blink into 2 pylons that he could just overcharge down? The mothership core is right here, usually. I just lost it because of the Phoenix. But it will be able to overcharge these 2 pylons fairly easily as you warp in enough units to defend and punish them for putting their blink on cooldown. They'll have to blink out eventually. A lot of times they are going to lose more than they kill simply because they are blinking into overcharge. I've actually won games as a result of them blinking into overcharge and losing too much units, so my counterattack outright kills them. In this case, he's going for Phoenix, so I don't really have to worry about blink yet. See, he doesn't have anything but Phoenix in production, Phoenix and probes. But as you build pylons, the idea is, where do I need to build this so that first off I can overcharge and defend? In the early game, that's your major thing, is overcharge and defend, followed by warping in quickly, and then you start thinking about where else do I need to defend. So your next pylons, as I said, I'll build here because I'm expecting them to blink in. As I take a third base, I'll be building a pylon to each side of it, so I have fast warp-ins. If they come from this side and they snipe this pylon, I can still warp in units at this pylon here to buy time for the rest of my army to get in position to help defend. As long as there's a pylon up close to the nexus, you'll have fast warp-ins. So you build 2 by your expansions. I always build 2 by my expansions. If I'm expecting an attack, I'll build 3. Specifically because I want to make sure I have warp-ins when I need them. And as they kill pylons, I'll rebuild them, or I'll build additional pylons behind the mineral lines, as I said, for cannons. And I actually do build a cannon over here eventually because he keeps harassing with these Phoenix. So whenever I've got my forge done and I've got enough additional minerals, I'll come and build that cannon. I'll build a cannon in my main and build a cannon in my third eventually. Just as I've got money, but I spend so much of it warping in to defend this. So basically the overcharge is there in the main to try to push back these Phoenix, pick off as many as I can. I've already got, let me see, I've lost 15 workers. What was I looking for? Looking for units lost. He's lost 3 Phoenix due to overcharges and my Blink Stalkers, so I'm just kind of trying to defend. But because I can warp in quickly at any of these bases, I'll be able to put units where they need to be as quickly as possible in order to help defend my poor probes against this guy. Anyway, let's look at the next level, which is Protoss versus Terran, which is arguably more in depth of an overcharge defense than anything else, because they'll be trying to drop your mineral lines with mines most of the time. That is what Terrans are doing right now. They are trying to mine drop you. That's basically what Innovation is doing, what all the professionals are doing right now, so they're looking to copy it. And honestly, if you're not ready for a mine drop, you'll lose a lot of workers to it. So basically the same 2 initial pylons go here by your gas geysers. And that'll get you to 46 supply when your nexus completes. So you won't need to build a pylon for a while. So again, Mothership Core will patrol here. If they send a Reaper close enough to get overcharged, then that's amazing, because then they don't have any vision on you without overcharging. I have an Adept here. I have an Adept across the map. That's actually the first Adept I made. I don't think he made a Reaper. Did he make a Reaper? No, he didn't make a Reaper this game, but I scouted what he was doing, so I'm actually going to build a second pylon here. Because I see he's attacking me with Pure Bio. I saw that he had a Marauder, so I knew it was some kind of barracks push. So I've got my Mothership Core pulled forward. If I see a Marauder already and he's moving out, which I actually saw with this Adept, I know that he's going to be attacking the front. So I get here and I double overcharge, because right now this is the only unit I have. So this second pylon here is going to overcharge this ramp. It's actually also going to help overcharge this direction. As you'll see in a moment, he circles around and I'm able to overcharge that. So I'm whipping in units. I'm whipping a Sentry, a couple Stalkers. I want to be able to force field him if he pushes up this ramp again, so the overcharge can kill him. But basically the scout that I got is, he's just making bio stuff right now. So I want to defend that. So it's all about pylon position. He's got stem, so he overcharges, and I pull back. I overcharge after he commits forward into this overcharge, and then I attack into him as he's trying to kill my pylon. His army dies. The pylon is still alive with 31 HP, with 5 kills to its name. This other one has 1. So yes, your buildings, your supply depots will kill enemy units, and they'll keep you from losing the game. If I didn't have the ability to overcharge these pylons, if I hadn't scouted it coming, I probably would have lost my expansion to that push, because I would not have had enough army to deal with it. At this moment, though, I've got two Immortals, 4 Stalkers, a Sentry, and an Adept. So any other bio pushes he puts down, it's going to be a really hard thing for him to deal with, or for him to get any damage done. So anyway, again, these next two pylons are just right here. I had this one pylon that was pretty low. I should have built these earlier, because if I lost that one, I've actually would have been supply blocked. But these two give me A, building position, and B, I can overcharge. A lot of times when you build your third base here, Terran will drop here, and then they'll pick up, and they'll drop here, while your army is out of position. If they try to drop here, you can double overcharge these pylons, while the Terran's medevacs are still full, and if you control click them, it selects more than one, and you right click on your target, whatever you're trying to focus fire, and it just kind of dies. So right here, my mothership goes out of position, so he's focusing down this Immortal, and I fully bait him back in, and then overcharge as he tries to retreat, and he loses most of his army. I'll pick those up later. But it's about having pylons in position to overcharge, and position to warp in. So you see when I warp in at this pylon, everything I warp in this spot is going to be good to warp in fast. And then these are just here because I want to be able to overcharge. So far all he's done is just like push me with ground stuff. He's finally sending a medevac, but this is the first medevac he sent across the map. Everything else has just been like Marine Marauder. And he's sitting on stim and combat shields. So I'm whipping in. See, he gets here to start attacking this. I whip in Stalkers. And then he turns around with the rest of his army because he's like, I can't push into this. I can't do any damage because he warped in. My pylons are fast enough that I can whip in. And here is the glorious Colossus that will allow me to finish dissuading all other pushes. Do I get this? Not important. I don't have Blink. I don't even have a Twilight Council because I spent time defending that. Actually, I think I just forgot it. Yep, looks like it. Either way, pylon positioning. Overcharge your main base for mine drops. If they're coming from the north and you overcharge this pylon and this pylon, most of the time you'll kill it. Sometimes you might need to overcharge this pylon. If he drops more than 2 mines, use 3 overcharges. Rule of thumb. And then as you build additional bases, you just build additional pylons. You'll eventually want to build pylons behind your mineral lines so that you can build cannons to help defend against later game drops as your army is out on the map and not able to defend. You'll be wanting to have observers, you'll be wanting to have map vision. Right now my map vision is terrible because I had to immediately get Immortals to defend, and then I started into Colossus production. And the only observer I really have... Where is my observer? Do I even have one? I don't actually have an observer this game, guys. So that's actually very bad on my part. It was a little bit of a weirder game, though. He didn't make mines, so I'm grateful for that. But it's all a matter of putting buildings where they need to be to make things happen. The next layer of this is PVZ, because you have to wall versus Zerg, or you just kind of die to Lings. So the wall that I use is a little bit different from what I've seen a lot of other players use. But I think it works very effectively, and I'll show you guys what I've come up with. And again, it's on Abyssal Reef, because this is a very common map to play on. It's not vetoed for me. And it's very, very straightforward, I guess, and I just get some fun games here. So anyway, my first pylon goes here. So I'll actually leave a gap here. My gateway is going to go in this spot. And it's going to fully wall off this part of it. So they have to go past this pylon, up this ramp, past this pylon to get to my base. So I put that there. My cybernetics core will go here. And then second gas, my second pylon goes here. I usually build it at this, like right at this corner, and I don't know why. Like, it's just something I've always done. But if they drop Lings into your main, you can box your probes and click on this gas geyser. And they will all dip into it, and the Lings will have to either disengage or fight into Photon Overcharge. So I build my Twilight Council. This is going to be the Archon drop. So I built my Twilight Council here. I put my Robo in the wall, because what's going to happen is, right now this Adept is kind of poked forward. If he's going to push Lings into me, toward my base from his base, they're going to go up this ramp, and they're going to run into this Adept, and I'm going to be able to deny their access, and I'm going to be able to prevent them from killing my Pylon for free. Eventually the Adept will go in this wall spot, but because the Robo is in the wall, I can rally it out here, or outside my base over to here, wherever I decide I want to put my third base, without having to move the unit that is in that wall and allow lings to come in. So when this gate becomes a whip gate, I'll have fast whip ins here. I have fast whip ins in here. I have a pylon coming down here to see if I'm going to be ling dropped. I have this pylon over here just because I needed extra supply. And again, I need something to overcharge if anything gets in my mineral lines, because he drops over here. I grab my box my probes, I click on a gas geyser, and all of a sudden he has to fight into this pylon overcharge. You have to get it dealt with. You can actually put a cannon right here at the very edge of the power field to build cannons. Now this one Artosis pylon is powering a lot of production, so eventually I'll put a pylon here to allow me to have a second source of power. It actually would create a door, an opening, and which I could just build a gateway there or whatever, just to prevent anything else from coming in there. When I take a third base, you know, I do take always 2 pylons. When you're versus a Zerg, never build 2 pylons side by side like this, like it would be if they were touching, because a Ravager Bile can hit more than one building at a time, and if you have both of your pylons in the same place, it's going to be difficult for you to save those pylons. They're both going to go down because the Ravager Biles will hit both pylons at the same time. So I have them spread out here. I have double overcharge potential. I'm building another robotics facility. I want to go heavily into Robo because I've scouted his roaches. He's committing very heavily into roaches early on to defend, so I didn't know how much he was going to be like. I've seen a lot of Roach Hydra. I've seen a lot of Roach Ravager stuff, but I saw Roach Warren, so I killed the Roach Warren. I'm getting double Immortal production because Immortals also deny Ultralisk transitions, and they're just all around good units. Hydras into Locos is a very common thing, so just having the Immortals already sufficient numbers a lot of times will just deter the Zerg from even going down that tech path. Which leaves Muta, but we'll go there later. He's actually building swarm hosts right now, which is a fairly new thing to do. Going into swarm hosts and infestors is a build versus Protoss, and it's actually hard for a lot of people to deal with. So as he attacks with these swarm hosts, he is going to be doing some damage to my pylons. He's trying to focus down my pylons to prevent me from overcharging. So you'll see me spam a ton of pylons over here. Overcharging to prevent it, whipping in. See, I overcharged here. And that one pylon plus a few zealots, I pulled my immortals back and just let them attack. But as he gets in here and continues to pressure, I'm going to lose a pylon. It depowers my robo. So I just build a field of pylons out here. Ton of pylons because I want to make sure I can overcharge to defend. I'll take a 4th base over here. Again, double pylons. He snipes this one down later, like right now actually, but I've still got this pylon, so I can still whip in. I'll just replace this pylon whenever I transfer probes, which is at this point fairly necessary. Oversaturated, oversaturated, way oversaturated. So when I transfer probes, that's basically full mining. So I want to make sure I can defend it. I'll eventually take additional pylons. So anyway, the thing about engaging swarm hosts is you never engage them when they have the locusts. You just move command them away. I lost an Archon there because I didn't move him quite far enough. But you just kind of fight whether or not you fight. Oh wow, my goodness. All he had was swarm hosts, so he couldn't actually kill that guy. That's great. You just see when they release those locusts, you just run for your life. You will go far, far away. You would go up into the mineral lines, whatever, into the other bases. I lost an Archon, but that's all he got to kill. I have a Whip Prism here. I'm just feeding Adepts into his base over here, because so much of his army is tied up in Swim Host. He's actually got the Bird now, and he really has no answer. I've got Storm over here for a transition. And it's just, it covers everything I needed to cover. And so you just kind of kill him one base at a time. His entire army is basically these. He kills my 4th base, he kills some probes, but at this point it's more or less a base trade, and he's going to lose because he has Swim Hosts with a 45-second cooldown on the locusts, and I have basically maxed out. At least I had at one point. But the bottom line is putting buildings where they need to be, to warp in quickly, first, to overcharge, second, and to have your buildings to rally where they're going to be useful, where you have the ability to rally to the front lines, to rally to 4th bases, to be able to not have to unplug your wall versus Zerg. Hopefully this can help some of you. I know that learning how to wall helped me tremendously, and I know personally someone in my clan who is fairly new to the game who loses to Ling run-bys all the time, and Ling all-ins because he doesn't know how to wall effectively yet, and he's still working on it. So hopefully this will help him as well. Good luck to you all, and see you on ladder eventually, because you will get there. Good luck, have fun.